All right. Yeah. So Higurashi in the morning, eh? What's up? What's up? Um. So, what the hell's going on, right? Uh. No, not config. So last we left off, some interesting news had befall us, where, oh, uh, Shion had disappeared the night after watching Nagashi, right? Yet, for like, what, the past 3 nights, 4 nights, something like that, after the Watson Nagashi, she's been calling us, right? And, yeah. I mean, I've had like my theories and shit about going on, about her of having, uh, fucking posing as Mion, but like if she's gone, then what the fuck's up with Mion, right? She's been acting really weird. Uh, and then not to mention, we confront her about this the last phone call we had, right? And then she just starts going fucking batshit crazy on us. And yeah, so are we fucking next or what? Like what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully we. I also don't know how close we are to like how much longer we've got. For all I know, this next chapter could be it. Although like going off like Steam achievements and shit, I'm like 75, like 73% of the way through. So like, who fucking knows? Am I right? Who knows? So let's just hop back into it. You know? You feel? Ooh, I do believe we did the tips. We usually do. Did we? Fuck, I can't remember. I think we did. Oh yeah, yeah we did. Yeah, yeah. All right. Alrighty. Let us continue. Keiichi? Keiichi? Just leave him alone. His friends went missing. It must be really hard for him. Normally my dad never shows me any consideration, but this time he did. Shouldn't Keiichi stay home from school for a while too? I think it'd be safer not to go until the police do something about this. Maybe. Compared to what could happen, taking a few days off wouldn't be a bad idea. Anyway, how is it logical not to close school during such a dangerous situation? What do those teachers think our children are? Mom and Dad are getting pretty riled up, but at this point I couldn't care less. Besides, that wasn't the only thing I couldn't care less about. The breakfast table. The food in front of me. The time and date. Myself. I really had no interest in anything. I was feeling. It's like a dead fog in my mind. I felt like getting dizzy after taking strong medication. Hey, Ichi. Oh, what did I do? How are your studies going? You've gotten further than the other kids, haven't you? If you have, then you can take a few days off, alright? I didn't even feel like answering. Today was Thursday. Only 4 days had passed since the Watsunagashi festival. Yeah. Such a short time. And yet now things were completely different. Everything had changed. The tranquil village, bright and clear as if it were an Indian summer, had undergone a total reversal. People were made to disappear every night, and we couldn't even relax when walking out in broad daylight. The village had become a world of fear. I had no right to curse this outcome. I mean, after all, the one responsible for everything was me. That night, I couldn't resist my honestly tiny, little, incredibly stupid curiosity. I broke the taboo. This isn't somewhere we should be going, isn't it? Is it? What's not? It's a crime to force your way into a locked building, even if you don't steal anything. Xion, now that you know they weren't having some secret rendezvous, you've had enough, right? I don't want to do something like this. What if Rikichan's dance ends while we're messing around here? I'd have prattled on as I took the lock from Tomitaka-san's hands and put it back on the door. I'll forget everything I saw here, and so come on. Let's go. Let's go! Takano-san was fretting, but I pushed her away. Tomitaka-san grinned painfully. Shion's shoulders drooped as if to call me an idiot. Even so, I didn't care. I pushed everyone farther and farther away. Rikichan's dance was still going on. Then at last, her dance was brought to a close with a roaring applause. I too, until my hands turned red, clapped and clapped. Ding dong. Isn't that Rena-chan? She's here because it's your usual meetup time, isn't she? I looked up at the clock. It was 5 minutes past my time to meet with Rena. Keiichi, shouldn't you take a few days off from school? You're right. Thanks for being so considerate. I rose from my seat. I went to the entrance to greet Rena. Good morning. We're going to school as a group starting today. So you can't be late. Oh yeah, that's right. If we, the ones farthest away, were to be late, the younger kids on the way would there be waiting for us. I think I'm gonna take some time off from school. Okay. Rena answered shortly, nodding. I think you should do whatever's best for you, Keiichi-kun. So, you don't need to feel that you're weak or anything. Oh, and, here. It's a notice they're sending around. Could you give it to your mom? I think it has a lot of important announcements in it. Took the notice. There were a lot more pages than normal. The ones on top announced the disappearance of the mayor, Rika-chan and Satoko, and that they wanted any information about them. Made my heart ache. Hey! Thank you, thank you. It's good to be back. As you can see, for the first time, we're doing Higurashi in the morning because, you know, I'm looking forward to getting through this. It's been real fun. That, and I honestly don't want to be dealing with Sunahara if I'm fucking playing at the moment, so yeah. Today's going to be a Higurashi day. Okay. I mean, I could be doing better, but thank you. Thank you. Aw, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. I can't remember if you've watched or played Higurashi. I can't remember if you have or not, but yeah, some interesting news has come out, or like recent events have gotten pretty crazy. So yeah. Anyway, the police are looking as fast as they can too. They'll Don't find them for sure. Just be patient. Okay? Urena said, smiling in an attempt to give me courage. Rather than that, though, her smile looked like it was because she herself wanted to believe they were safe. Well, I don't know how much help Higurashi can be, but yeah. And I mean, if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do. I love the series. The anime was pretty great. Um, so far, I'm on the second game. Should be most of the way through. Steam says like through the achievements, I'm like 73% through. I'm about 20 hours in at the moment. So I've already finished the first game, which is like the first 4 episodes of the anime. So. Well, that's good. At least you're glad to be alive. That's always good. That's always good. But yeah. Then you're not going to question me? Nope. Then you know, don't you? About that night, what I... Do you mean when you snuck into the ritual storehouse? I was speechless for a moment, but then I bit my lip, made up my mind, and nodded a little bit. Oh yeah, no, I feel ya. I feel ya. Nah, I feel ya. So it's all out in the open. Really? I shouldn't do bad things like that. Michan was really mad. So she was upset. I suppose she would have been. I don't think she was as angry about you sneaking in there, though. As much about you hiding it from her. Maybe, Kei-chan, maybe you should have told her yourself and apologized. I should have told her. And I should have fucking apologized. God damn it. That troubled me. Just 1 week ago, I did something that I myself should have apologized to Mion for. I'd hurt her really bad. However, I hadn't realized that at all. Plus, with all the confession that Shion's appearance had brought, or confusion, I still hadn't been able to talk to Mion about it. You're right, Urena. I never realized anything until you tell me. Keiichi-kun, hypothetically, if you had admitted you'd done something wrong, like right away, and apologized to Michan, I wonder if Rika and Satoko-chan wouldn't have had to disappear. I couldn't answer right away. I couldn't admit to that. Wasn't Urena telling me right now, though? That I should have admitted to my crime sooner? If I had done that and apologized, would things not have gone in such a horrible direction? Urena's eyes were filled with kindness, but they weren't naive enough to forgive me for keeping silent. They stared fixedly into my own. Yeah. You're right. If I had admitted my crime sooner, then Rika-chan and Satoko wouldn't have had to die or disappear. Smack. The palm of Urena's hand slapped me in the cheek. I stood there unmoving, my head still tilted in the direction I'd been hit. It didn't hurt. At all. I don't think anyone has scolded you, Keiichi-kun. So, I'll scold you in their place, okay? I pressed a hand to my cheek, now warm with embarrassment, and quietly stared down at Urena's feet. Going somewhere you're not allowed to go is a very bad thing to do. Do you understand that? Uh-huh. Answer me with a yes. Okay, Ichikun. Yes. Also, what's even worse, you didn't admit to having done something bad. So you should never do anything bad in the first place. But not admitting to it or apologizing for it is much, much worse. Yeah. I was wrong. For a few moments, Rodena stared at me, silently and intently, as if gauging my response or remorse. Because voice feels good? Huh? God, it's been so long since I've watched Angel Beats. God damn. How long has it fucking been? 2, 3 years? I think? Shit, when did it come out? I think that's... Anyways. Then, finally, the tension in her face softened, and she smiled. Okay then, it's about time. I should be going. Alright. Be sure to give the notice to your mom, okay? Also, warn her not to go out to pass it on after it gets dark. Wait. Also, warn her not to go out to pass it on after it gets dark. Huh? Okay, okay. But what voice? Like, Iwasawa's voice? I bent down to pick up the notice, which I had dropped when she slapped me. The pages had come out of the clasp and were now making a mess on the floor, so I gathered them up one by one. My hand stopped at a single, more light-hearted page, with peaceful sentences dancing on it. We still have plenty of homemade soy sauce in stock. Feel free to come to the Sonozaki house if you want some. What is this? I picked up the page and scanned the rest of it. They were stockpiling high-quality soy sauce they got from faraway relatives in the Akita prefecture. They had gotten a big shipment recently. They couldn't use it all, so they wanted anyone who wanted some of it to feel free to come over, is what it said. As a PS, it said it arrived in barrels, and to please bring a 2-liter bottle or other container for it. That's how it tied together. If you need some soy sauce, then you would go to the Sonozaki house. Dena. Did you know all along? Yeah, I knew. Wait, Dena had already been suspicious of Mion. As soon as she had mentioned that the big bottle of soy sauce was missing, Rika-chan had taken the bottle and gone to Mion's house and she was erased? Rika-chan wasn't coming back, so Satoko called Mion's house since she knew where she had gone, and then Satoko got called there as well. Wait, that meeting on the day with the mayor disappeared. Didn't Oishi-san say that the 3 families participated in it? The 3 families would include the Sonozaki family. Didn't he also say that the current leader was really old? So her mayor, Mion, frequently stood in for her at public appearances? While the mayor was returning from the shrine, Mion called out and stopped him. She talked to him and invited them to their house, and then she made him disappear? It was probably even simpler to make Shion disappear. Shion was part of the Sonozaki family. They probably knew exactly what she was doing at all times. I'm sure they even know her part-time job schedule too. Thinking back, wasn't Angel Moore's store managed by the Sonozaki family? Setting up an ambush for her there wouldn't have been any trouble at all. I'm going to Mion. I'll go apologize. I'm going to. I have to put an end to everything. Mion probably won't forgive me easily, but I'll go and ask her not to sacrifice anyone else. With that decided, there was no need for me to be lazing around here. I put on my shoes and slipped past Erdena to exit the house. When she stopped me. I'm going too. Erdena, shouldn't you go to school? This is way more important than school. Erdena, you shouldn't come. If you get wrapped up into this too, then I think I might actually go crazy. Erdena didn't move her arm, which was blocking my way. If Keiichi-kun disappeared as well, then I think I might actually go crazy too. So, I won't let you go alone. Erdena argued boldly, as tears welled up in her eyes. I saw them and I knew the strength of her resolve. Alright, let's go. Thank you, Erdena. Okay. Erdena nodded slightly but firmly, and finally let down the arm blocking me. Let's go. To Mion's house. I'll apologize for the crimes I've committed. Then we'll put an end to these twisted days. After that, I'll pray that once more we can return to those fun, lively days. Oh, okay, let's hope this works. Oh, okay. So wait. It's fucking Mion that's gone? Okay. With Erdena following me, I left the house. In front of the house, there was a car waiting. It was Oishi-san. Hey, good morning. My Bada-san. To you too, Ryugu-san. Together so early in the morning? You make me jealous. What a truly praiseworthy man he was. If he had been lying in wait so early in the morning just to pressure me into talking. On this morning, though, maybe this was actually a good opportunity. You're from the police. Oh, have I not introduced myself to you, Ryugu-san? Please excuse my rudeness. My name is Oishi, from the Okinomiya Police Department. Pleased to meet you. Are we telling Oishi-san? Yeah. I think my poem is enough punishment for your crime. Oh wait, I read that in reverse. Are we telling Oishi-san? Yeah, I think my poem is enough punishment for your crime, Keiichi-kun, but we should leave Mii-chan's to these people. Pain and sadness. I looked down as those emotions built up in my heart. You have something to tell you, Oishi-san. Hey, what's up, Friedel? Well now, what about? Should we stay in here and talk? Or go inside the car? In the car, please. I only continued to look down weakly. All I could do was be thankful for how dependable Rena was. Rena's urging. Oh, fuck hiccups. At Rena's urging, I revealed everything to Oishi-san. The latter, while making sure to throw in murmurs that he was paying attention every now and then, took notes. We continued that way for a while. How do you feel? Don't you feel a lot better now that you've told me? Oishi-san asked this while scratching his head with his ballpoint pen. Of course I don't feel better. The price that had been paid up until now for me not owning up to my crimes had been so immense. But as long as that payment wasn't returned, the load on my chest can never be removed. His radio started to emit static. Bzz, bzz. This is, Kumatani. Oishi-san? Over? Yes, hello. This is Oishi. We've got news that a few minutes ago that she's been absent from school. No movement at the Sonozaki house. Our target is still on the premises. Yeah, good. Keep a close watch. Roger that. Cars 3 and 7 just arrived for support, and we returned to the base. Also, I think the division chief is looking for you, Orsi-san. He keeps annoying me, too, even though I keep telling him I'm trying to get in touch with you. What should I do? If you were hard-pressed for an answer, tell him you're actually under orders not to wake me from my morning nap. Got it. Bzz. The radio grew silent. Sorry about that. I was about to work. It was about work. He just said there was no movements at the Sonozaki house, didn't he? Oh my. Did it sound like that to you? This won't do. Please keep that a secret, alright? I don't have permission from the division chief to be making private inquiries like this. Oishi-san. I suspected Mion for a long time. Nor for questioning witnesses, or for searching houses. We don't have permission for anything, really. The Sonozaki's house's defense said to protect the family members are... Wait. The Sonozaki's house's defenses said to protect the family members are also in full working condition. Without a warrant, we can't do anything about anything. Unless the crime happens right in front of us. Oishi-san, could you be... Renena's tone of voice alone was enough to make her spite clear as she stared at Oishi-san. Goddamn. You can't set foot in the Sonozaki house. We're trying to get Keiichi-kun to go in there instead. Or fuck. Were you trying to get Keiichi-kun to go in there instead? Not weird. Renena, that's... What do you mean? This person, just as I thought, really plays dirty. Stop, you're hurting my reputation. That said, I'm all ears for your explanation, okay? Oishi-san lit a cigarette and responded to Renena wearing an expression implying he was calm and willing to let her comment slide. You can't get a warrant, but you've always had your eyes on Michan because you thought she was suspicious. Yes? You plotted to incite Keiichi-kun and have him go to the Sonozaki house. Then, if something were to happen to him, you would have used that as an excuse to go in. Isn't that right? I only stood about half of what Renena was saying. I knew, however, that Oishi-san had been trying to use me. Even if Keiichi-kun got hurt as a result, have you no shame? This is how the police do things? My. It seems we have an incredible detective on our hands. Oh my. Would you be interested in taking our exam? I'd gladly write a recommendation letter to let you into the detective division. You're despicable. Then it spoke quietly, her words just dripping with hostility. I don't think I said that quietly, but whatever. I've been insulted in all kinds of ways in my life, but one or two words from a young girl is always the roughest for me. Even so, I suppose I should thank you for not arresting Michan yet. Don't mention it. Oishi-san seemed to be enjoying his exchange with Renena. The thing is, this man thought we're like a swamp. I could barely see past the surface. It reminded me again just how much I disliked them. Now then, as to esteemed friends of Mion Sonozaki, what do you plan on doing now? Will you wait kindly for me to go over the evidence and request a warrant? No, we won't wait for that. We'll go, and make Michan surrender herself. That's right. If she turned herself in rather than being arrested, she might get a lighter sentence. At this point, perhaps that was the only pity I could find in me to afford her. I see. Well, if it will go that well. If you're careless, you two may face danger, you know? Oishi-san was measuring our resolve. So, in a strong voice, I declared, We're fully prepared. Oishi-san gave us an unpleasant yet seemingly satisfied grin. It was then I realized this man was trying to use us for his own convenience. If anything were to happen to us, use that as an excuse. Though, my greatest hope is that you will, hold on. If anything should happen to us, use that as an excuse. Though, my greatest hope is that you will surround the place so that the criminal can't get away. Ryugu-san, you're good at negotiating, too. I'm throwing in the towel. I surrender. What are you talking about? If the policemen surround Michan's house, then that'll be insurance for the worst case scenario. For the worst case. Plus, it would be another way of pressuring Mion to give herself up, wouldn't it? Ah, Oishi Takuma-chan. Oishi Takuma-chan. Bzz, bzz. This is Kumitani. Go ahead. Our two friends are going to play at the Sonozaki house. Make arrangements so that we can reinforce them if needed. Roger. Bzz. Their altogether too short conversation implied that our questioning was already part of their plans. We lurk? Alright, go ahead and lurk. Go ahead and lurk. Get yourself in the mood. Shit's going down. Then let's get going. Want to buy some tea biscuits on the way there? Neither Rina nor I went along with Oishi-san's stupid joke. Ooh, okay. Oishi stopped the car at the place where we always waited for Mion. Come to think of it, I've never been to Mion's house before. I've only heard that it's right down this road. This is as far as I can take you. According to our information, there are quite a few security cameras set up on the premises. Still, don't worry. I've got a bunch of youngsters ready and waiting to slip past them and go in. We'll be monitoring the inside on a one-way mic, so if you two give a loud scream, we'll know right away. We'll persuade her for sure, so please be ready for her to turn herself in. In both our eyes was determination. It was the only method available to us for lightening the sins of our good friend. Just a quick side note. The fucking word determination is like fucking ruined for me because of fucking Undertale. I just had to make a little quick side note. That word is fucking ruined for me. Be plenty careful, you hear? You probably don't believe it right now, but I don't want you two being sacrificed if at all possible. You're right about that. With a rude response, we left the car. Alright, time to confront Mion. Let's go. The clinging humidity and voices of the cicadas greeted us. I'd never have expected this would be happening today. Let's go, Keiji-kun. Hiruna took the lead and began to walk down the road I'd never been. Hiruna, you've been to Mion's house before, right? Yeah, a few times. It's a really big house. You could fit a mountain in the backyard too. You could pick mushrooms and stuff. Though there are fences everywhere. Big enough to fit a mountain. That was amazing. One of the three families controlling Kinamizawa, the head family of the Sonozaki clan. Perhaps there was something to be said about this its magnitude. The path continued onward, level and uneventful. There were metal fences along its edges, and beyond them were woods with trees growing thickly. Fuck hiccups, goddamn. The fences were high. The tops of them bent inwards, sticking out like sharp spears. Plus, There was dangerous-looking barbed wire wrapping them. No one could look at them and not feel intimidated. In addition, there were signboards hung up here and there along the fence. Private property of the Sonozaki family. Entrance forbidden. Beware of venomous snakes. Active security cameras. Intruders will be charged an entry fee of a million yen. God damn. This forest, or should I say mountain, is this all their yard? It's more like their domain. As you can see, it's private property, but nobody maintains it. The forest isn't really the kind of thing you can go hiking in. She could say that again. It really did feel like a neglected, savage woodland. It was dark and damp, and certainly not a forest that made you want to go for a nice walk. Maybe that's just what happens when the landowner has too much land. Like Oishi-san said, there were security cameras hung up all over the place. Though, they had all been weathered by wind and rain, casting doubt as to whether they were even functional. I wonder if Mion's watching us, as we come to her. I don't think she is. The only people living in Michan's house are generally her and her grandmother after all. There's nobody to watch the cameras. What a useless security system. Well, Michan's father seems like a pretty tough person to get along with, so when everyone in the family is getting together, the cameras are apparently working properly. Oh, that's right. Mion's father. He was a big-shot Yakuza, wasn't he? Urena smoothly danced around the answer as she explained. At last, a huge gate, as big as I had imagined, appeared. Was she living by herself with her grandmother in a house with such a grand gateway? I wonder if she's here. Beep. The old buzzer made a dull sound. Was it cut off in the middle and not getting to the house? We waited long enough without a response for me to start thinking like that. However, we finally heard footsteps walking through the gravel on the other side of the gate. I nervously balled my hands up, my palms now sweating into fists. There was the clang of a bolt being released, and the gate opened slightly. The person peeking out of the gate gap was none other than Mion. Ooh. Well, this is unusual. Aren't you two going to school? Mion didn't seem all that surprised at visitors arriving in the morning, which wasn't a normal time. In fact, she almost seemed relaxed, as if she knew we were coming beforehand. We stayed home today. Kei-chan. Kei-chan is one thing, but you two, Urena? You two are such troublemakers. Mion smiled lightly, in the way that the Mion we knew always did. Well, let's just not stand around here. Come on in. She gestured for us to follow her. I hesitated for a moment, looking to Urena. Let's go. Urena smiled cheerfully, as if she were passing through the gate of a good friend's house, and then did just that. I rallied myself and then go through the gate too. On the other side, it hadn't been maintained very well, but it was clear that the lot was magnificently wide. It wasn't quite what you'd think of when you hear mansion, but it was very close to a vast place. Was this the first time you've been here, Kei-chan? Yeah. This house is enormous. Steep thatches of the roofs aren't in fashion anymore. This place could be a tourist attraction. I want to rebuild it using totally average and boring reinforced concrete soon. Mion dryly smiled as she said that, then closed the gate and relocked the heavy bolt. Don't worry about it. Things have been dangerous lately. Gotta do at least this much during the daytime. Yeah, you're right. Maybe it was my imagination, but I thought I saw a hint of a shadow in her smile. Well then, good sir and madam, I shall show you inside. Please, come this way. Mion bowed to us like a worker at a high-class hotel, then pivoted on her heel and began to walk. Rina gripped my stiffening arm lightly. Keiichi-kun, you're too tense. We came to see Michan, remember? You don't need to be that nervous. That's right. When I get nervous, I tend to let everything show on my face. I'll stop tensing up. Even if something were to happen. There were 2 of us. Oshi-san's subordinates were waiting outside the gate for us, too. There was nothing to worry about. After thinking about it that much, I realized my nervousness was already gone, and laughed at myself. You know what? I'm gonna ban you. And there we go. Get that spam shit out of here. What's this? Mion, what's with the stone on top of the newspapers? It's in the way. There's a pile of newspapers on the floor of the entrance. There's a large rock on top of them. I didn't understand why something like that was here. Erdena noticed me looking at it questioningly and giggled. Erdena, do you know? Oh, what is this? Some kind of good luck charm? If you don't really know, then feel free to move it out of the way and put your shoes there. Keiichi-kun, there's a nest of swallows right above that stone. Huh? Oh. You're right. This house is for people, but swallows still come in without permission and make nests. Must be like a tradition for them. Whenever spring comes, they always make a nest here. It's kind of annoying, though. In other words, it's a sign to not take your shoes off here, because swallow poop could end up in them. I couldn't help but laugh at the silly contrivance. My laughter naturally spread to the other 2. A really long time ago, the Sonozaki family apparently cultivated silkworms. Our ancestors would get all worked up over exterminating the swallows. When you think of it that way, maybe this is just our just desserts. Anyway, come on in. The inside of the house wasn't very bright at all. It was dimly lit, in fact, but mysteriously, I could still feel an elegance to the place. Mion seems to want a more modern building, but traditional houses like this aren't bad either. You're kidding, right? It's a terrible draft and the winters are freezing. Don't go making my house into property of cultural significance and getting in the way of renovations, got it? What I want most is a house like yours, Kei-chan. I'm pretty jealous of it. Seems like it would be warm in the winter. Oh, but snowfall seems like it would be a problem. Snowfall's a problem? Does Hinamizawa get that much snow? Our latitude is south of Kanto, isn't it? Isn't this region warm? You don't know, Keiichi-kun? Hinamizawa is in an area that gets heavy snowfall. But we get a lot. Everyone gets buried. Sometimes you can't even get out of your own house. Sometimes your car gets totally buried too, and you can't find where it is. I wasn't aware of that. Hinamizawa was that bad of a place in the winter? Come to think of it, my dad, he said something like, this place got plenty of snow, but so like we could have fun building igloos. Still, your front door getting buried? Not being able to find your car? That was just too much snow. You remember from geography class, right? The western side of Japan gets cold winds from Asia. We're different from those softies protected by the mountains. Nice and warm by the Pacific Ocean. I'm totally okay with being a softie and nice and warm. I hate the cold. We'll have to have a training camp to get Kei-chan used to the cold this winter then. No way, no way. There's no way that's happening. I hate the cold, and I hate training camps too. And I hate them even more than put together. Myung laughed more uproariously than she ever had, then told us she'd bring out some tea and left her seat for the moment. Still, there's a lot of fun things to do in the winter. I bet our club will be a blast then. Our club continuing activities through the winter sounds pretty horrible, or totally horrible. Like swimming in the cold, or marching in the snow. When do we turn into Mount Redhorn? Yeah, there are definitely a lot of tough punishment games for the winter season. One time she made us have a Rio Carnival in the schoolyard while snow was falling. I see the terror of our club cared not for the season. The victor would be decided by who could best adapt to the winter only events. We do snowball fights, and shaved ice eating contests, and treasure hunts in the snow. Wait, why is everything outside? Why can't we play tabletop games in a nice warm room while it's snowing? Whoa, Cage-kun. If you're saying things like that, then you're gonna lose a lot this winter. We'll have lots of punishment games and then I won't lose. Oh. Don't give me that oh. I settled things with a cross chop to the head. Boom. You're sure having fun. Our walls aren't very thick, so be careful to not go flying through any, okay? The paper sliding door opened and Mion returned with a pot and a complete tea set. Do you want sesame seeds in your rice? Or on your rice? Sorry, we don't have much in the way of bean paste or other good stuff. It's okay, it's okay. We didn't really come here to drink tea anyway. And with those words, the smile disappeared from Rena's face. Ah, she did it. That one careless statement reminded us of what we had nearly been able to forget. I had wanted to enjoy this peaceful time for a little bit longer, but we put an end to that with those honestly careless words. When she noticed the smile disappear from Rena's expression, Mion too changed hers. Oh, okay, are y'all ready? Shit's about to get real. Let me take my hit and drink some Pepsi. Oh. Alright, are y'all ready? Are y'all ready? Alrighty, let's go. It was as if the cheerful air, that was like a warm spring day until a moment ago, had slipped through the cracks in the paper door, and altogether disappeared. There was no point in regretting it now. We did not come here today to chat and enjoy ourselves. Mion silently poured the tea. During that time, both Rena and I sat kneeling without uttering a word. Here you go. Drink up. We couldn't even mutter a word of acknowledgement at those natural words of courtesy. There's no poison in it or anything. Do you just trust me that much? That's upsetting. Mion gave a bitter smile at the end and let her shoulders droop. We all remained silent. We remained silent, hoping that someone else would speak up first. That was, however, the one thing we didn't want to do, and so we sat for a long time. At last, Mion smiled scornfully and opened her mouth to speak. Hey now, Kei-chan, Rena. You're the guests. Didn't you come here for something? If you don't speak up first, this old man won't know what to do. Rena and I exchanged glances, and we both resigned ourselves. Then I opened her mouth to speak first, so I stopped her. Keiichi-kun. It's okay. I needed to come here. Let me talk first. Okay. I understand. What would Kei-chan have to tell me? Please give me your daughter's hand in marriage, maybe? Can't do that. Mother Lena and Kei-chan aren't meant for each other. Go wash your face with miso soup and try again later. Afterwards, I thought her mean remarks were Mion's own way of showing consideration. Mion had said those mean things in a totally normal voice, and it drained attention from my shoulders. Mion, first, I have something to apologize for. You do? What for? Mion pretended that she didn't know what I was talking about, and I'd clearly gotten my point across. Well, on the night of Watanagashi, the ritual storehouse behind the shrine, I went in there. I could see Mion's expression immediately become harder. I knew it wasn't somewhere I was supposed to go, but it was just supposed to be a little bit of exploration. We didn't mean anything by it. Even so, I still shouldn't have done it. So, I apologize. I'm sorry. To display my deepest sincerity, I pressed my forehead to the table. I meant it as my way of prostrating myself. I figured it wouldn't feel sincere enough if I raised my head right away, so I left it there on the table for a while. But Mion didn't say anything. With my face down, I couldn't tell what sort of expression Mion had. Only the voice of the cicadas filled the room. Mixed with them, I could hear the sound of the clock ticking. But that was all. When I started to struggle to breathe from having my head down for so long, Mion told me to stop. You got me there. I didn't expect you to pitch it to me straight. You got me on the ropes. I looked up to see Mion's face was calm, but she was smiling faintly. If you understand that even though it was only a casual exploration for you, Kei-chan, that there are a lot of people who think it's no laughing matter, then it's okay. It's an old saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's been days since then. It may be too late, but I apologize. What I did was wrong. Please forgive me. I could feel pitiful tears welling up in me. If I had done this sooner, maybe nothing terrible would have happened. It's okay. If you know what you did was bad, then that's enough, right? Mion spoke like it was someone else's problem, and I wasn't happy about it. Michan, Keiichi-kun is apologizing seriously. I think maybe you should respond seriously as well. I am being serious, though. Do I not look serious to you, Irena? Hey, what's up? How you doing? You don't. Then it was giving her tit for tat, and so the room's atmosphere quickly began to grow sharper. She was right. Even though I came here to speak from the heart like this, it's felt like she hasn't been taking this seriously. Obviously, Irena isn't fond of that. Keiichi-kun, you can get up now. Let's tell her everything. That looks like what Michan wants, too. I had known it would turn out like this from the beginning. Hadn't I come here prepared for that? I had mustered my will and bit my lip. Mion? You called Rika-chan and Sataka the day before last, right? I don't remember doing so. If you have a reason to think so, could you let me hear it? It was evening, before dinner time. Yurika-chan should have come here, bringing up a big bottle of soy sauce, to have you share some with her. Mion was trying to keep from showing any reaction, but I didn't miss her eyelids twitching just a little bit. Why do you think that? It's not hard to understand, Mi-chan. You saw it too, didn't you? Rika-chan's room. Mion put a finger to her forehead and acted like she was thinking. There was chilled tofu, but no soy sauce. Plus, the big bottle of soy sauce that should have been under the sink was nowhere to be found. What? Is that why she would have come here? Mion dropped the act. Mion dropped the act. You wrote it yourself on the notice, didn't you? That you'd share your soy sauce? Mion scratched her head. I heard her ever so faintly click her tongue. It was as though we found out she'd purposely given too little change to a servant. That's all I could feel from her. Then Mi-chan, Rika-chan, you hit her. Rina hesitated for a moment. I could tell that she didn't want to use the word erased, and that she was struggling to find another word. That was really supposed to be the end, wasn't it? For you, anyway. What are you talking about? You didn't foresee that Rika-chan would tell Satoko that she was going to your house, did you, Mi-chan? Oh. Then, Satoko-chan called. Might Rika be imposing on you? Yeah, probably just like that. You sound just like her. Mi-chan, you're in a bit of bind then, because someone knew that Rika-chan had come here. So you decided to lure Satoko-chan here too. Lure her out? Like how, I wonder? Mion prodded Rina on, as if trying to get the good part of an interesting story. I, however, knew I'd been watching Mion's change this whole time. She was restlessly twirling her fingers. She had clearly lost her calm. Of course, it was really a slight thing, and only I, who had been watching her this whole time, would have known. Mion was panicking. But Ardena was saying, it must have been a bullseye. It probably went like this. Satoko, I actually made too much dinner today, so why not come over and eat? Rika-chan came earlier and already ate some. Something like that. Scratch. Mion's nails dug into her knee. There's no recording of the phone conversations or anything, so how do you know that much? I know it because the dinner that Satoko-chan made for the two of them was plastic wrapped in their refrigerator and hadn't been touched. For a few moments, Mion's gaze was frozen in utter amazement. She looked like she couldn't believe that this person in front of her was Ardena. Fuck hiccups. That was the person in front of her was Ardena. With that, just that to go on? How did you even guess that what we said over the phone? It was a long explanation, so I'll get to the point. The contents of the refrigerator provided a vivid account of what you said over the phone when you lured her out. Mion's jaw remained on the floor. That was the only way I could describe her face. That's... I had no idea I had such an incredible detective right next to me the whole time. I can't believe he figured out everything down to the phone conversation. Just from what was inside the fridge. You've got me there. You've got me. You've got me. As if a dam had burst, Mion's convulsed into her laughter. Her laughter, though, definitely didn't make us want to laugh as well. Mion grew tired of her dumb laughter. Heaved a big sigh and scratched her head. It almost seemed like Mion had lost a detective punishment game for the club or something. And their punishment had been decided. Oh, how fun that would have been if that were true. An incredible detective, Michan. You're the one who guessed that Oishiyu-san told us. He called me an incredible detective, too. Ooh. As soon as she heard Oishi-san's name, Mion's eyes began to display panic more clearly, so that anyone would be able to tell. Mion, the police have suspected you for a long time now. Oishi-san's officers have had the house under observation so they could break in at any time. Mion attempted to feign calm, but it looked like she was having a hard time with that. Part of her couldn't believe that the police had her surrounded. She closely examined Rena's facial expression. However, she couldn't detect a hint of falsehood. Finally, Mion seemed to accept the fact that the police were encircling the house. Was the mayor Michan too? Were Tomitake-san and Takano-san you as well? Mion didn't answer our rapid-fire questions. I could clearly see impatience in her eyes, which was still feigning calm. At last, Mion, who had been sitting there lazily, readjusted her cushion and sat herself upright. At that moment, the atmosphere in the room changed completely. Mion's expression also changed. The impatience and wonderment in her expression disappeared, and she became so solemn you would think she was about to conduct a tea ceremony. I could sense it. It was now, in this moment. Mion had ceased to be Mion, but had changed into Mion Sonozaki, the current heir to the Sonozaki house. That solemn atmosphere about her was clearly abnormal. It was entirely different from that of the Mion that I knew. Now I could believe it. Now I could believe that she was the young leader who commanded the entire Sonozaki clan. Mion quietly placed both her hands on the tatami mat, gave a beautifully elegant bow, as if this was really a tea ceremony, and named herself. We meet for the first time. I am the current heir to the Sonozaki house. My name is Mion. Mion's movements were so elegant, they could cut, and we couldn't even answer her. All Rin and I could do was watch, baffled at her actions, which we could never imagine the normal her doing. I'd like to welcome you to the Sonozaki main house today. I'll greet you all in place of our leader, Oryo. It seems as though you have various things you would like to ask. If I can be of any assistance, then I would like to answer without concealing anything. What? What did Mion just say? Mion said she would answer anything we asked? There was a strong light of resolve in her eyes. It's really alright if we ask anything, then? I shall tell you everything I know. That is why you have come here, after all. Rin and I exchanged glances. There was a mountain of things we wanted to ask Mion. However, we hesitated for a moment on what we should ask first. The first question Rin gave was extremely abstract, but it was the question everyone wanted to know right now. Why would you do this? That's what I wanted to ask as well. Why would you do this? That didn't go for Rika-chan and Satoko. It went for the mayor, Takano-san, and Tomitake-san as well. No, even further back for all the incidents that had been occurring every year. For a little while, Mion couldn't respond. Right when we realized that the questions was too vague and tried to put it into more concrete terms, she finally opened her mouth to speak. To answer that question will take some time. If that is acceptable, however, that will be by all means like you to hear it. She spoke clearly, unlike me. She spoke with a clarity that a grandmother might use when telling a story from a long time ago. Do you know that the Hinamizawa village used to be called Onikafuchi village? Urdena nodded slightly, then shot me a glance asking me if I did. I returned her nod. Hinamizawa was once called the Onikafuchi village, yes. I heard all about it that night from Takano-san in the ritual storehouse. They firmly believed that the demon blood ran through their veins and cut off all contact with the outside world. They were worshipped by those in the village at the foot of the mountains and treated like transcendents, those capable of magic. That's right. Our ancestors in the Onikafuchi village were proud transcendents descended from the demons. Those in the village at the foot of the mountains worshipped and honored them. Nevertheless, that all decayed with the end of the Tokugawa era. The black ships arrived. The era of the samurai ended. The era of national isolation ended. The tradition of worshipping Onikafuchi village quickly disappeared. Those things that linear from the past were all to be detested. That was the kind of era it became. The Meiji era began, and the name of Onikafuchi village, with its long history, was forcibly changed to Hinamizawa village. I have heard the Meiji era government strongly wished to erase the old customs. The abolition of feudal domains and the establishment of prefectures. An era had begun, seeing Japan sprinting up the stairs that were beyond their means to try and reach the same level of the rest of the world. All things in the Western style were to be extolled, while all old traditional things were to be scorned. That was the sort of era it was. Our ancestors in Onikafuchi village were proud transcendents descended from the demons. Onikafuchi village disappeared in a flash. At last, Japan, provoked by the great European powers colonizing countries in Asia, one by one, began a policy to increase its wealth and military power, so that it could stand as a global power in its own right. Conscription began and they won war after war. First Sino-Japanese War, and the Russo-Japanese War, and until the Pacific War broke out. They recklessly climbed the staircase towards modernization. At the time, Onikafuchi village had already lost its impenetrability. The villagers, once worshipped as transcendents, were now on the receiving end of an inhuman treatment. The sacred Onikafuchi village had been groundlessly labeled an isolated village of those afflicted with incurable diseases, a mere shadow of its former self, and stood on the precipice of an era of hardship. Thus began harsh days where one would suffer unreasonable discrimination just because people knew one was from Onikafuchi. The children in the village at the foot of the mountains were taught not to go near Hinamizawa because filthy germs were rampant there. Children who had come into contact with children in Hinamizawa would cry and wail as their parents purified the spot they were touched by rubbing salt on it. One of the adults said to the children that if you got lost in Hinamizawa, you would be kidnapped by the demons, cut up into pieces, and devoured. Never, ever go near the terrifying village of the man-eating demons. That's what he taught them. Another said that during a famine long ago, the people of Hinamizawa gathered up all the corpses they discarded into the dry riverbeds, then cooked and ate them in order to survive. Groundless stories, but said in such seriousness. Baseless slander added to baseless slander, making Onikafuchi village's historical and accurate, thrilling history all the more believable. Perhaps the chain of undue discrimination was a manifestation of the people's anxieties towards the uncertain times. Of course, the story didn't end only with the perspective of children. If anyone found out you were from Onigafuchi, you would be turned down from any job you applied for. People would even go back on engagements and marriage proposals. As for the marriages where one partner had lied about it, as soon as the truth got out, they were made to divorce. It even caused trials. They would appeal that where one came from wasn't an important enough reason to divorce. They would, however, lose their case. Lying about one's birthplace apparently constitutes a heavy act of misrepresentation in marriage. That's terrible. I've heard about such discrimination towards those in small villages in civics class. Just because others knew you were from a tiny hamlet, you would be subjected to every societal disadvantage there was, a modern form of bullying. Fuck hiccups. Though I only memorized that because it was going to be on a test one time. I recall being suspicious about it, and unable to believe such discrimination occurred in modern Japan. Well, I suppose I can't say that they weren't asking for it. Our ancestors were proud of the demon blood flowing through them. They lived their lives boasting about it and scorning those at the foot of the mountain after all. They struck fear into villagers down there with their mystique and demanded gifts of dread and tribute. With that, Mion smiled for the first time, albeit in self-mockery. During the Pacific War, despite the slogans that all the country was acting as one, those from Hinamizawa continued to suffer all manner of discrimination. There were too many ways to count. They would send their husbands and sons to war, and the women of the home front would suffer greatly too. My grandmother remembers it well. She remembers it being a difficult time. Even that bitterly long war, however, finally ended in 1945. Hinamizawa had lost many male hands, but at last their fathers and husbands and sons returned to them. Of course, there were also many who didn't come back. Nevertheless, for those in Hinamizawa who were at their limits, barely able to maintain the village without the men, their return was a very happy thing. MacArthur's GHQ set to work on drastically improving mindsets and strove for abolition of unfair discrimination. They could feel day breaking on the small night that was the previous era. Hinamizawa was on the verge of turning into a ghost town. Those in the village started to say that they should rebuild it once again, and got to work trying to make the village even a little bit more plentiful. During that time, someone appeared to build up a fortune through a vast number of dealings in the black market. That was Mion's grandfather, the husband of the elderly current family leader, Sohei Sonozaki. Sohei said that he managed food warehouses in Harbin after being dispatched to the Chinese mainland. When it was time to pull out, he conspired with his superiors and comrades and stole a great deal of the army's canned goods. He hid them somewhere in the Seto Island Sea and sold them widely at a high price on the black market, thus earning a fortune. Sohei didn't spend that fortune for his own pleasure either. He entrusted the entire amount to his wife, the head of the Sonozaki house. Let's revive the ruined village. All who live here are our family, and this fortune is our collective property. So he proclaimed to my grandmother, the current head of the family. That vast fortune was a huge reason why Hinamizawa was revitalized after the war. I see. With that, Hinamizawa came back to life, and that's how the Sonozaki family had established its current prosperity. Of course, there were many people who begrudged the money coming from the black market, but the villagers no longer minded it. They succeeded at one business venture after another. Those who had succeeded freely supported those who followed them. The giant family of Hinamizawa, tied together with strong bonds, kept on expanding its influence. The Sonozaki family, the center of everything, would be extolled for a long time as the minds behind Hinamizawa's revitalization. The person at the middle of it all was your Nana, Michan. That's amazing. What a great success. Mion looked like she was honestly happier than I had praised her. However, around 1955, the wind started bowing in the other direction again. Or blowing. However, around 1955, the wind started blowing in another direction again. Because of the canned flesh incident. Canned flesh? It sounded so hideous that just hearing it made me nauseous. Someone naming himself as my grandfather Sohei Sonozaki's superior confessed that those canned goods had been human flesh. Hinamizawa, a village in which demons lived and ate humans. They were just about to wipe away that cursed stigma. The light they had finally started to see in their peaceful lives grew hazy and disappeared. The shocking truth, as revealed by his former superior, the stolen provisions from the old Japanese army that had been a huge cornerstone for Hinamizawa's revival, had been canned human flesh. Why were there cans like that? Wasn't Sohei just the manager of food warehouses? His superior revealed that Sohei Sonozaki did not have the job of managing the food. In reality, Sohei's job during the war had been to exterminate pestilent mice and to transport the corpses of those with infectious diseases. It had been an unfair treatment, and all because of the lowliness of his origins. As a result, though, he had returned safely without having been sent to the front lines or being detained. Perhaps that was the only fortunate thing to happen to him. Finally, Sohei was enlisted as an assistant at a military medical institution. There, however, he found something even worse than the low, scorned, depressing customs of Onikafuchi village and the research they were carrying out. Could that have been, well, you know, the bacterial core in the old Japanese army or whatever? Keiichi-kun, you've heard of that? What could it be? I was pretty sure it was Unit 731. It was a nightmare unit that devoted itself to researching terrifying bacterial weapons to break the deadlock in the war. They used many innocent people as fodder for horrible human experiments. They methodically observed how many days a new strain would take to kill the victims, how many days it would be when injected, how many days it would be when swallowed. They dissected many people to find that out. Sometimes they wouldn't bother waiting until they were dead, and dissected them while they were still alive. They would strap themselves into centrifuges while still alive, and crush them in decompression chambers while still alive. When a live human decompresses, all the holes in their body get pushed outwards, and their intestines get pushed out of their anus like a snake winding out of it. I have a feeling I saw something like that on a documentary one time. That makes me sick. And I still hate Hinamizawa, huh? You said it. Mion agreed with me, giving a faint, sad smile. There wasn't much in the way of communication, but for some reason I was happy to have it right now. The unit Sohei was in did a way kinder research than that. They were researching concrete methods for reducing the difficulty of delivering food on the battlefield. The military's designs at the start of the war completely fell apart, and a chronic food shortage broke out all over the battlefront. The food shortage led to malnutrition, and as their natural resistance lowered, the soldiers fell to one disease after another. spirit and morale lowered as well. They wouldn't be able to maintain their forces at this rate. Apparently that's where the research started. At first it was to find methods of delivering food to battlefields. It was very broad and included things from violent methods to like stealing it from citizens to survival methods like how to cook unfamiliar insects and plant life. As they were working out the details, they kept straying off course and going out of control, until finally they knocked down a door called Taboo. What do you think the easiest source of protein on the battlefield is? Then and I knew the answer without being told, so we didn't answer. That's right. They were researching ways to handle using humans as food. Fighting onwards, sometimes eating the flesh of enemies and sometimes that of allies, became the ultimate service paid to their country. They were deathly serious about this doctrine. Hell yeah. It really is a riot. My grandfather was despised as someone who ate human flesh, and yet they had gone above and beyond that. Apparently he always thought about it too. Even if he was a vulgar man-eating demon, there were far more ugly demons than he. So no matter how much he was scorned, he wouldn't put up with it. At last, they had a handful of test prototypes. When the soldiers learned it was human flesh, however, the scientists couldn't make anyone eat it. So, it was apparently sent to the front lines. The cans were labeled meat substitutes. And so that they wouldn't accidentally eat it themselves, they stamped it at the bottoms with a circle. The starved soldiers on the front lines apparently loved all the prototypes they were sent. Among them, those who cooked it in soy sauce, like it was sukiyaki, loved it the most. Come on, Michan, stop. I'm getting sick to my stomach. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of hungry. Hold on. Pizza time. Who else is getting hungry with me? Hell yeah. Like, I don't get why people would be complaining about canned flesh. Like, human meat, like, it's not that big of a deal, right? I mean, you just gotta be careful what parts you eat. And like, you also like it also depends on probably like what the other person was like in life, like their diet, how healthy they were, and all this other stuff, because that could affect like the fat, like what's in the muscle and tissue and all that stuff, and then yeah, and you also got to pay attention like if they had any health problems and stuff like that, right? Trust me, it can get quite complicated if you want to be smart about it, you know? But anyways, Regina was pale-faced, and she looked like she was having difficulty continuing to sit on her knees. Mion looked like she had more to say, but she sighed lightly and stopped there. Then, those canned goods by your grandpa, those canned goods your grandpa brought back. I don't know if it's true. Sohei denied it was human flesh up until the day he died. However, those who begrudged Hinamizawa's sudden revival called him a savage for making a fortune from selling human flesh. And the villagers began to be scorned again. They returned to a time where children could be jeered at, and have rocks thrown at them. The stifling silence came back. What a seriously hopeless and sad story it was. They discriminated and were discriminated against. Discriminated. And were discriminated against. Why must they attach worth and rank to it? Why can't they live without looking down on people? Why can't everyone just enjoy life together? I didn't know. My grandmother, the family head, once told me the children in the village this. If they throw a stone at one of you, then 2 of you must throw stones back. The children asked her, what if they threw stones at 2 of us? Of course, the answer was simple. If they throw stones at 2 of you, throw them back with 4. If they chase 8 of you with sticks, drive them off with 16. If they slander 30 of you, yell back with 60. Finally, the children asked, what if we're attacked by 1,000 people? Even that answer was simple. If 1,000 people attack you, then everyone in Hinamizawa will stand up against them. It was a manifesto to spur people into action. My grandmother rose up to not only as the leader of the Sonozaki house, but as the mother of Hinamizawa. It was halfway through 1955. It was a time when riots over the treaty with the U.S. were rampant. A time of battle and action. The people of Hinamizawa joined together and fought, treating unfair discrimination towards one as a crime against them all. It didn't matter whether that one was a child or an adult. They heard that a child had been told off, and everyone would crowd the house of their perpetrator acting as a whole. They heard an adult had been treated unfairly. Men and women, young and old, would all band together and stand up against it. If you meddled with people from Hinamizawa, you would be in trouble. They probably figured that if they could make others think that, they'd win. Kei-chan, do you remember how many people came to help you when you got involved with those delinquents in town? I was just about to say. I recalled how much of an impression it had left on me. That the people of Hinamizawa boldly came to my rescue, and yet the people of Okinomiya averted their eyes so they wouldn't get involved. My grandmother fought, and my parents carried on the fight. At last, peace returned to Hinamizawa. Of course, that peace had been placed on a razor's edge. When you consider the previous 100 years of history, the tranquility now can only be called a chance interval, standing on uneven scales. Why? Did I really have an opinion on such a long, difficult history when I hadn't moved here more than a year ago? Yet, I said it anyway. Why can't everyone just live in peace? What happened to those old stories of Oyashiro-sama that I had heard from Takano-san? Man and demon joined hands and lived together in harmony. Didn't Oyashiro-sama remain in this world to watch over that? It's a fairy tale. I mean, that even if those people and the demons were real, the Oyashiro-sama who mediated between them wasn't. Is that why Oyashiro-sama's curse happens? A cool gust of wind blows in from outside, fluttering Mion's long, beautiful, clear hair. Beautifully clear hair. Mion kept her refreshing smile, without answering, and didn't even change her expression, but even that became a silent answer. So that Hinamizawa village might once more be like Onikafuchi village, so that we may again be a sacred existence worthy of worship. That was the earnest wish of our ancestors in Onikafuchi, and the mission of those who inherit the demon in the Sonozaki main family. Those who inherit the demon? For generations, the Sonozaki family has had a custom of including the character for demon in the leaders' names. If you write out my name on your hand, it should appear plain as day. I traced out the word Mion on the palm of my hand. Oh, she's right. The character for demon is in there. Not only in my name either. The demon is ingrained in my body as well, or engraved on my body as well. When Mion said that, she quietly rose and began to lay her hand on her clothing. It's okay, Michan. You don't need to show us, okay? Thank you. With just that exchange, I guessed what she meant. Most likely, somewhere on her body, there was a permanent seal, such as a tattoo or marking, that proved she had inherited the demon. We got a demon chick? Hell yeah. Mion didn't sit back down. She smoothly opened the paper door to the porch. A refreshing breeze began to cleanse the damp air filling the room. Mion quietly gazed out at the wide yard for quite a while. On her shoulders, something I could never imagine the normal Mion carrying. It was a heavy, truly heavy history of Hinamizawa. No, of Onigafuchi, weighing down on them. What kind of words could I possibly say to Mion like that? To a Mion like that? Rena wasn't saying anything to her either. Only the voices of the cicadas drowned out the silence. At last. After a long period of nothing, Mion murmured. Hey, hold up, hiccups. The serial incidents happening over the past 5 years. I was directly related to some of them, and indirectly to others. Some were not the Sonozaki family, but were rather related to the others, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. I think I was at the center of all of them. She said it all without turning around, with her back to us. At some point, her tone of voice had gone back to being the Mion we knew. I have faith in what I've done, and don't feel any guilt. If I did, perhaps it would be that I will have to leave the stage before the heir is decided. If I am caught and tried in court of law, then I suppose that's how it works nowadays. Being able to retire with Hinamizawa at the most peaceful it's been in 100 years could be the happiest thing that's ever happened to any of the Sonozaki leaders of past generations. Mion leaned a shoulder against the paper door, then slid down it and flopped on the ground. It was an act of resignation that just seeing it made me hurt inside. The numerous terrible crimes Mion had been a part of suddenly began to fade from my mind. Hey, Mion, I don't care what happens after this. Can't you just try to struggle as much as you can? Try to run away? As soon as I began to think that, Rena's ringing voice filled the room. But, Rika-chan and Satoko-chan... Hey, what's up, Ethan? You just missed a, pretty cool backstory of, Mion and, like, the family of, Hinamizawa, or Onikafuchi. And, as it turns out, Mion's behind everything. She's at the center of all the, of Oyashiro-sama's curse. She's the reason why, Rika-chan, Satoko, the mayor, Shion, Tomotaku-san, and Takano's all disappearance or death. So, yeah. So we're with, Rena confronting her about this, and meanwhile, Oishi-san and, like, a lot of his subordinates are surrounding the place, waiting for us to, get her to surrender. But yeah. But Hideka-chan and Sataka-chan, you killed them, didn't you, Mi-chan? The sharp points of her words stabbed into my chest, despite not being directed at me. I'm not saying that it's okay you killed other people. Regardless, Mi-chan. You killed Hideka-chan and Sataka-chan. His words were more biting than any I had ever heard. Even now that we knew all this, the heavy history pressing down on Mion's shoulders, she had criticized her for killing our friends. Just as I bear the duty of the Sonozaki family, Hideka-chan bore the duty of the Furude family. That duty was to protect the ritual storehouse. My chest tightened. I learned around last year that Hideka-chan had said something about it. The bars on the storehouse door were too heavy for her, and she wanted to change them to a simpler lock and key. Even the priest before her had complained about it being heavy. He was very aware of how hard it was for Hideka-chan. I will make sure to guard it, so I want to replace the lock with something lighter. I replied on the behalf of the Sonozaki family leader. Ever since the string of freak death incidents, there seem to be people who are insolent towards Oyashiro-sama, so you shouldn't replace the lock with a simpler one. That said, the leader of the Kimiyoshi family, Old Man Kimiyoshi, If it's that difficult for you, Hideka-chan, then I think it's okay to replace the lock, he said. The very fact that it was locked with a key was an indication of it being somewhere you mustn't enter. There's nobody bad enough to break through it and go inside, he said. Even if we were alike as leaders, I couldn't find it in me to argue with Old Man Kimiyoshi since I owed him so much. In the end, we decided to change out the lock on the storehouse and switch it to a really cheap and light padlock. Old man, is this really alright? Nana says that if possible, we should keep the lock the same. That'll be alright. You're quite the worrywart. If something happens, this old man will take care of the responsibility. Do you promise? You mean that you will take responsibility as the leader of the Kimiyoshi family, right? You should be well aware of how sacred the things are inside, really are. Yeah, it's okay. There aren't any bad cats in Nihonimizawa who would open the lock and break in. Meow meow. Alright. Oh. Oh. Is that crying? Sorry. Whoops. Sobs escaped from my mouth. Something hot and wet dripped down in spades and fell onto the tatami mat. I had already heard of the thieves entering the ritual storehouse during the Watanagashi festival. There were 4 of them. We decided to act within the day. At the same time, we needed to demand that the ones who allowed the thieves to break in, Hideka-chan and the Furude family, or of the Furude family, and Old Man Kimiyoshi take responsibility. My tears dripped harder and dropped. Dripped and dropped. Until just now, I decided that it was Mion's fault. That she killed Hideka-chan and the others. That was wrong. The one who killed them wasn't Mion. It was me. I might as well have killed them. Keiichi-kun. I had a chance to stop this tragedy from happening, and yet I fucking didn't. Cheap fucking curiosity got the better of me, and I didn't. If at that time I had stopped from sneaking into the ritual storehouse, and Hideka-chan and the others wouldn't have had to die. If I had, then nothing would have happened. We would be spending our days having lots of fun, like we always did. I was a fucking idiot. If by shedding tears I could take it all back, then I would have filled up the room with them. However, such a meager act wouldn't be enough to redeem myself for the crime I have committed. Kei-chan, you're not at fault. Mion gently began to speak to me, as if trying to reason with me. As the leader of the Sonozaki family, I needed to act. But, given the history of the Sonozaki family, thinking about it now, it's no big deal. Maybe I should have saved my friends, even if it meant casting all that aside. I yielded to it, and that's why I killed those two. I, Mion Sonozaki, and nobody else killed them. I had hundreds of chances to stop it, but I didn't stop. I gave in to the easy role that was handed to me and abandoned all thought of fighting for my friends. So this is my crime. I killed them. Mion Sonozaki, with these hands, killed them. And nothing whatsoever changed. Nothing. Her masochistic laughter was sad. Especially because Mion boasted in club that she would turn the tables on whatever predicaments presented themselves. It was so painful. Still, Michan, you saved one person of your own volition? Huh? As I looked at her surprised, Rena stuck her finger right at my forehead. You saved Keiichi's... You left Keiichi-kun alive. As strong as you are, Michan, it would have been no trouble for you, but... You didn't kill him. That's right. Mion was so cunning that nobody could stand up to her. Even in our club, if she had seriously tried to kill me, I would have been dealt with on the very first night. So many people have been sacrificed, but I was always left out in the cold. When did I first realize it? Even though people were disappearing one after the other, for some reason, I had this vague belief that I would be left alive. Why didn't I kill him? As a demon, I can't even begin to guess. Maybe Mion had some reason she didn't want to kill you. Oh, what is that supposed to mean? Shh. Mion put a finger to her lips to say that Rena didn't need to talk. Is Oishi waiting outside? Yes. Any way out? No. They said they have the place surrounded. It seemed like they called out a lot of cars over the radio. I think they have your entire property surrounded. Mion fell silent. Rena's merciless words felt cruel, but they weren't meant to be. Maybe they were trying to lessen her good friend's pain, if only by a little. Maybe they were considerate, like she was trying to help. Please, turn yourself in. Mion didn't open her mouth, but she smiled just a little. We'll go with you. We'll never leave a friend by herself. Crying children and Rena are the only things I can't beat. She rose, scratching her head. Her face had returned entirely to that of the usual Mion. I'm well aware of how serious my own crimes are. Even if they accept me turning myself in, I'll probably never be able to come back here. I couldn't... Fuck. Stuff stuck in my throat. I couldn't say anything. The number of deaths Mion was involved in was just too large. So much so that maybe recommending that she turn herself in was in a way extremely cruel. So I'd like you to hear one last selfish request. What is it? 30 minutes is fine. Just let me have some time alone with Kei-chan. Huh? My name suddenly came up, and it looked like I was the only one surprised about that. Keiichi-kun, is that okay with you? If you don't want to, then I won't make you. You're right. It's okay if you don't want to. After all, I am a demon. And Kei-chan is a bona fide human, who moved here from somewhere else. For us to be compatible, as long as Oyashiro-sama doesn't exist to mediate, simply isn't possible. There was no reason for me to hesitate. Mion had been engulfed by heavy, unopposable tradition. Right now, the duty of handling this had fallen, to me and me alone. In fact, with me cornered, it would have been okay for her to blame me. However, Mion didn't say one word of blame. Far from it. I was guilty of the same crime, and she let me go. Amidst of the fate she could not oppose, she saved me alone. I didn't know whether I should be thankful for that. Thinking upon it, I didn't know how much easier it would be if I were to be granted the same punishment as Rika-chan and the others. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had an equal duty to bear the sins that Mion shouldered. So when it came to Mion's last request, there was no reason for me to be hesitant. Sure, it's fine. Thank you. I'd like to thank you too, Keiichi-kun. Rena stood up. It looked like she would keep her promise with Mion and leave. Ah, it's fine, Rena. You can wait right here. I just wanted to go around the yard with Kei-chan. If you're bored, you can go to my room. You can read any manga you like. And if there are any volumes you like, you might as well take them. I don't want to. Michan's books belong to Michan. Then I couldn't bring them back home with herself so freely. You're such a good kid. Only at times like this. Mion took it in his head and rubbed it violently like I always did. Okay, let's go, Kei-chan. I began to walk after Mion, who headed for the hallway, when Rena silently stopped me. Take care of Michan. Yeah. Michan really does believe she won't ever be able to come back. I didn't know much about laws, but with as many deaths as she's been involved in, the chances of her escaping a heavy punishment seemed almost non-existent. Watch out so that you don't make her lose her temper, okay? Mion might not surrender herself to justice, so I might have to put an end to it myself. I didn't know I had already thought of that far ahead. Right. I won't let that happen. And then rubbed her tears, which had fallen without me noticing them. Okay, then go after her. I nodded and followed Mion. Fuck Hiccups, goddamn. Who had disappeared out the front door. I could clearly hear Dennis sobbing from the other side of the paper door. Why was Michan made a successor to demons? Maybe it just had to happen that way, but it's just so awful. Something hot burned down my cheeks. They were my tears. I fiercely wiped them away. This was the last time I could offer to Mion, so... Oh, this was the last of my time I could offer to Mion, so I absolutely didn't want to let her see my tears during it. Mion was already waiting outside the front door. Sorry about that. The achievement. Okay. Change seating real fast. Oh, well. How are y'all holding up real fast? Gotten quite fucking heavy, huh? Ooh. Hey. Alright. Are y'all ready to go on a walk? Let's go. I put on my shoes, tapped my shoes against the floor a few times, then left, and Mion timidly came over. Why is she turning red at a time like this? Can I hold your arm? It was such a modest request. I don't mind. With my permission, her face lit up with glee, like a child being given a toy, and took my arm. Do you get kind of nervous with your arm through mine? Not thinking, for example, that I'd suddenly put you in a world-class joint lock or anything. You two say the same things. I don't think that. At all. Back when, nothing had mattered yet, or nothing had gone wrong yet. During those nostalgic days of the bustling commotion at Angelmore. I counted back and was amazed. It had only been 1 week ago. I'd been arm in arm with Shion then, too. Linking arms with Mion like this really reminded me that they were twins. How much strength they could put into it, the sensation of their arms, their warmth, and the blood flowing. I could feel their living sensations were all exactly the same. I think Shion liked you, Kei-chan. I see. If this were a regular conversation, I might have jumped back, red in the face. Right now, though, no matter what I heard, my mind remained at peace. Mion and Shion, you got along well, didn't you? Well, I wonder. Kei-chan, do you think your right hand and left hand get along? Huh? My right hand and left hand? I don't think you could describe them as getting along or not. That's how our relationship is. You can't measure it by the scale of how well things get along, or how well we get along. That didn't sound like it meant they got along really well. For example, one of your hands is dominant, so there will always be a better hand. If you only had one oven mitt, you would put it on your dominant hand without thinking, right? I think maybe it was like that for us. That doesn't mean, though, that anyone would be okay with losing their left hand. It's that kind of unexplainable relationship. I think that maybe you live too close together and just stopped being able to see it, but I think that means you get along really well. I'm an only child, so the day before the festival, I was really jealous of when you and Shion were messing around with each other. I think you're jealous of something that doesn't exist. Yes, we twins used to have a lot of fun playing tricks on people, but now that we have such distinct different personalities, it just gets in the way of... Were they cursed? Or were they self-conscious? Their relationship was hard to understand for an outsider. Maybe that wasn't an issue someone like me should intrude on. Just staying silent and nodding gently was the best way to advance the conversation. Mion passed through the wide yard and invited me into the big, desolate forest we'd seen on the way in. Such a big forest was part of their property, so I couldn't help but feel small. It's huge. That's what she said. You must have had a great time playing it and as kids, huh? Mion seemed to be silently reminiscing. I couldn't look into her mind, but she was probably thinking back to those fun days, when they played as sisters without any antagonism. Every time the wind blew, it caressed the treetops and the leaves, making a swishy murmuring sound. Mion remained silent for a long time, thinking back on her younger sister, whom she had gotten rid of with just her own hands. There was no need for me to get a word in. Just walking like this, arm in arm, was enough. Mion suddenly stopped and turned. Shion is still alive. Really? Mion took a hard look into my eyes, then nodded quietly. Yeah. I'd been thinking to give her the most horrible death of all, so I had her locked up. I never did think of a good way to do it, though. Mion sounded as though she hated Shion, but also, deep down, she didn't completely detest her. So I took my other hand and rustled Mion's hair with it. Mion didn't only save me. She saved Shion, too. Mion may have become a demon and led many people to their deaths, but she fought against it and was able to save 2 people. As I petted Mion, she narrowed her eyes in an entranced smile and untangled her arm from mine. Then she quietly said, "Come with me. I want you to see all of my sins. Although, Kei-chan, it might be the worst thing you've ever seen." Okay. Y'all ready? I could sense it. There I would probably find all the sacrifices up until now. Looking at them would mean accepting Rika-chan and Sataka's deaths, as well as accepting that my best friend had done it. It's already happened, and it's in the past. You can choose not to look, Kei-chan. If you don't want to, then wait here. I will personally end everything. I was taken aback by how ominous that sounded. I remembered what Rena had told me. Mion might not surrender herself to justice, but instead choose to put an end to things herself. I couldn't leave her on her own. Besides, I agreed to her last request, didn't I? Even if it was hard for me to accept, I still had to do it. Even if I avoided looking, it was something that had already happened. It doesn't matter what I see. Yes? Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. That won't change. It never will. The treetops softly swayed in the wind. You and Rena both. Why do you only get really cool at times like this? Normally I'd say something rude back at her, evading the question, but today I didn't. I just answered with a smile. At last, Mion started walking into the thick forest deep into the deepest part. After following a thin path that looked like an animal trail for a while, we finally came across a steep incline with a tunnel that reminded me of a coal mine or bomb shelter. We were surrounded by shallow hills that had been created in a spot not visible from the outside. Oh, bloody hell. There were many silhouettes of crows in the trees here and there. The abnormal odor I'd been smelling for a while was doubtlessly escaping from inside this place. If you want to turn back now, now's your chance. I don't know what kind of person Mion Sonozaki is to you, but if you go inside, that Mion will probably... She won't change. I'll say it as many times as I need to. Mion Sonozaki is the best friend I could ever have. I clench my fists. Inside there was probably a sight beyond anything I could imagine. If I let my guard down, I might end up vomiting. So, I'll endure it. I'll overcome this pain and this suffering. It will never change. That Mion is my greatest friend. I am nothing more than a demon, so I don't understand human feelings anymore. I have a feeling, though, that I know why Mion fell in love with you. Don't say that like it's not related to you. You're Mion. You're not a demon. You're a human with human blood, and you're my friend. Mion made a gesture like she was wiping tears from her eyes, then placed a hand on the big door of the tunnel entrance. The lock on it was dauntingly strong looking. It seemed to demand the appropriate resolution from whomever entered, just like the ritual storehouse. When the double doors opened, a stifling, rotten air, and a bunch of winged insects came rushing out. I remembered accidentally killing a hermit crab a long time ago by leaving its tank out on the porch, and how intense the odor it left was. If that was the smell of a corpse, then that's certainly what this smelled like. Inside was pitch black, but Mion flicked the switch that turned on the light bulb, illuminating the interior. The path turned into a series of intricate wooden tunnels. We passed spaces that looked like they were for storage. We passed places that looked like someone had lived there. All this indicated that it had been used as a bomb shelter and stockpiled during the war. It didn't give an impression of a dug-out bomb shelter that had been just left there, though. There was a sense of dignity, as though this were a second Sonozaki house constructed underground. Despite being in pitch darkness below the ground, the voices of cicadas were entering through an air hole somewhere, giving it a mysterious feel. You saw what was in the ritual storehouse, right? The piles of tortured instruments. All of them were created to uphold the strict religious laws of Onagafuchi village. They were tools used to kill those who broke the laws in terrible ways as a warning to others. That was a long time ago. Watanagashi, originally a ritual meant as a deterrent, was once overseen by the three families. But thanks to the Kimiyoshi and Furure families going into decline, and the way the times changed, actually carrying it out became difficult. I can imagine why. You'd never think people could be okay with drowning people in a swamp, and killing them in modern Japan. That's why the Sonozaki family built this. A secret place so that we could continue to conduct the rite of Watanagashi, even in modern times. Mion opened a large, strikingly different door, and inside was none other than a modern storehouse for ritual implements. There's quite a few, isn't there? Some of them were actually brought here from the original storehouse. All of the things there had been rusty and covered in dust, so they didn't seem that real. But the things in here were different. Every one of them had been well maintained and kept in a state that they could be used right away. Blades gleamed and spikes were sharpened. Ooh. Also, perhaps as a precaution for the splatter of blood, the walls and ceilings were covered in a kind of tilling you would see in bathrooms, or tiling you would see in bathrooms. And there was even a drain set amidst a slight slope in the floor. There was also a coiled rubber hose along the wall attached to a faucet, perhaps for cleaning up the splattered blood. According to something a leader from long time ago wrote, blood splatter has impact, despite the fact that it doesn't tax the sacrifice. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent after all. Many ancestors thought up of all different kinds of things to show off. As she said that, Mion pointed deeper into the torture room, to a spot veiled in darkness. There was surprisingly a room floored with tatami mats, and in the corner was a pile of cushions. There are seats for the audience. Watanagashi was meant as a deterrent after all. It wouldn't make sense if there was no guests. Hell yeah. Where do you buy a ticket for that? I couldn't speak. I couldn't think of anything to say anyway. Except that if Mion revealing all this to me made her heart feel any lighter, then I was prepared to listen for as long as I needed to. Right here is where I killed everyone. There were no spectators to watch me, but I did the Watanagashi very well. Well, perhaps there was one spectator. Huh? A spectator? Me. I, the demon, was watching the entire time Mion held the Watanagashi ceremony. Mion cackled in self-deprecation. It wasn't a nice-sounding laugh. Back there is the prison. Is she on there? She nodded slightly. Mion's Watanagashi had ended today. I needed to tell Shion that I was safe without a moment's delay. After all, she was probably trembling in fear at this very moment, worrying about when she would be killed. The ostentatious door on the other side opened, revealing what must have been an incredibly expansive space, based on the echo it made. Mion groped around in the darkness, and a handful of naked light bulbs, came on here and there. As my eyes adjusted, more and more of the great cave showed itself in the faint light. The walls were bare rock surface, and it felt so savage that bomb shelter was the most apt term for it. There were small, barred rooms built here and there, like holes made by insects biting their way through a giant piece of fruit. It was immediately clear that each one of them was a prison. Ooh. Where is everyone? Rika-chan and Satoko? Their corpses? I grimaced at her having said it so outright. Yeah, that's right. Wait, did I? Okay, thought I missed a line. Yeah, that's right. The poor thing is being left here in the dark like this. I didn't want them to get infested with bugs, so I threw them down the well. I'm sorry. Okay. so I can't even see their faces in death. Once again, my feelings of regret at having confessed everything to Rika-chan came surging forth. If Mion hadn't attached the word sorry to the end of what she had said, I might have punched her. Calm down, Keiichi Marabata. You said it yourself. No matter what, Mion Sonozaki is your greatest friend. Why do I keep hitting that button? Fucking hell. Yeah, my greatest friend. I needed to hear myself say it out loud. Then came the clattering of bars and one of the cells deeper in. When I noticed it, I looked up as well. Shion? Is that Shion? Kei-chan? Is that you, Kei-chan? I ran over to the cell. White hands were peeking out through the gaps in the bars. It really was her. Are you alright, Shion? Are you hurt? No. No! Shion's face twisted out of shape as she screamed. It was because Mion had appeared right behind me, of course. Shion didn't know that everything was over yet. Calm down, Shion. Everything's already over. Everything. I spoke in as calm a voice as I could manage to try and soothe the agitated Shion. However, it didn't seem like it was getting through her screams. Shion, how have you been? No more, please! No more! I don't want to see anyone else die! If you hate me, then just kill me already! I'm the one you hate, right? Kill me! Kill me right now! Sis! Calm down, Shion. It's all over now. It's going to be alright. So calm down. Shion, who was screaming and rattling the iron bars back and forth, was truly in a frantic state. I gave a slight shrug of resignation, giving way to Mion. I had realized that if Mion was the one who had locked her in here, and if Mion was the one who had scared Mion this much, then Mion was also the only one who could put an end to this. Mion spoke from over her shoulder, quietly. Relax. I won't kill you. No, I won't kill you just yet. She burst out into a bizarre laugh, as if trying to make Shion's madness even worse. Shion broke into a fierce shiver, brought on by that laugh, and rattled the iron bars as she wailed. Please stop! Don't kill Kei-chan! Kei-chan has nothing to do with this, does he? If you're gonna kill someone, then kill me right now! I don't want anyone else to die! You want to die that badly? Then after I've killed this man, I'll take my time making mincemeat out of you. In accordance with the ancient rites, I'll do it slowly, starting with your extremities. I'll shave you down and mince you. I've had that mincing machine set up specifically for you, after all. Or would it be funnier if I were to have mince up Kei-chan in front of you? Hey, quit it already! What do you have to gain by scaring her at this point? No! Kei-chan, run away! I tried to rebuke Mion for flinging terrible words at her this late in the game, but when I turned around, Mion's mouth, so much that it was hard to believe, had twisted into a shape thinner than a crescent moon. It was a smile. I could sense it like a jolt of electricity. The person here wasn't my best friend Mion. It wasn't the Mion Sonozaki who had been tossed about by her heavy duties of succeeding the Sonozaki family either. Then, who was she? But bam! I saw sparks flying before my eyes. Like what happens when you get hit in the back of the head. The strength of my body drained instantly. My head suddenly became heavy. My knees buckled under the temptation and hit the floor. Then my whole body collapsed. My face would have hit the floor, but it was comfortable. It was comfortable as if I had fallen down onto a down-filled futon. My consciousness reeled, then receded. It was this kind of sensation, like if you took a nap in the car, but you were still half awake, and could listen to your parents talking, as if they were far away. No, you wouldn't be listening. You would only be hearing it. Why do I keep hitting that button? How do I keep hitting that button? It was happening so far away, and the conversation was completely unrelated to you, so you would have no interest in it. So whether Shion was yelling in my ears or Mion was in vulgar hysterics, I didn't think it was annoying, nor did it interest me. Now then, I wonder how I should go about preparing you. Oh yes, what do you think of a bed of nails? I tested it on those two little brats, but the hands were too small for the restraining table. Let's do that. Oh, let's do that. Mion held me up from behind and dragged me across the floor. The soles of my feet scraped on it, and one of the shoes fell off. No! Please stop, sis! Please! Stop! Shion's emotions exploded outwards, and she burst into bitter weeping. As if her crying had whetted Mion's interest, she had flung me down and returned to the prison cell again. Ooh. Okay. My, you sure can cry with a cute voice, can't you? Your unnatural bravado was making my skin crawl, but this definitely suits you best. Mion, my big sister, I beg of you! I don't care about how you choose to kill me, but please at least let Kei-chan go. I'm begging you! Shion would always act as though she were a cut above her older sister. That Shion, in such a miserable voice that I couldn't have imagined it during those peaceful times, prostrated herself before the older sister she used to scoff at and pleaded forgiveness. Mion looked down with an expression of cool indifference, one that was plainly smiling with joy. You know, I wasn't planning on listening to your petty wishes. The way you're crying, though, it's just too funny. I think I'll change my mind and listen to you. Since, come to think of it, I never did anything big sister-like for you. Yes, yes, thank you so much. Alright then. Let's hear you apologize for everything. Then maybe I'll let it all be water under the bridge. And maybe, just maybe, I'll let Kei-chan go. Mion had said she might let me go, but she never said anything about letting Shion go. Before long, Shion got her on her hands and knees behind the bars, and began to speak words of apology. They were too faint for me to hear, but their intentions got across. Despite having watched her with a magnificently jubilant expression, Mion kicked the bars and declared she was unsatisfied. You think you can make up for years of grudges and hard feelings like that? Oh, that just will not do. I guess I'll make minced meat out of you both. No! Wait, sis! One more chance! Just one more chance! Mion stopped and waved her hand again in resignation. Just because she had grown impatient, but only because she was taking delight in abusing Shion. You can't apologize to my satisfaction anyway. I'll teach you how to make an apology that will get through to your older sister. I'm only going to tell you once, and if you get even get a letter wrong, you're out. Got it? Yes! Yes! Thank you, sis! Oh. Shion's miserable voice cried out, having become utterly hoarse. The sensation tearing through my chest returned a little at a time. I realized it was feelings of anger bubbling up. I was slowly regaining control of my body. However, I was only able to feel my skin and my blood flowing at the moment. I still couldn't voluntarily move my fingers. Fuck hiccups, goddamn. Did you memorize it? Then let's hear you say it. Sincerely and faithfully from beginning to end, with all your heart. If you can do it properly, then I'll only kill you. Yes, thank you so much. Something was strange. Something had become strange at some point. Until just a few moments ago, I was sure this had been Mion, but at some point she had become someone else. The Mion I knew well, would never do something so nasty like enjoy trampling all over someone's dignity like this. Now, let's hear it. Your big sister is listening closely. Shion Sonozaki is... When I ran over to Shion's cell earlier, had the real thing been swapped out with the fake right behind me? Anyway, this couldn't possibly be Mion. Shion Sonozaki is the lowly, worthless, not fit. Sal not fit to lick her big sister's Mion's feet. And when I think of the countless times I've been rude to my big sister without knowing my place, Yes, that's the spirit. I'll permit you to say a little more now, okay? Blood circulated through my whole body. My numbed senses were returning. Just a little more. While Mion is still holding Mion's... No, that thing's pretending to be Mion's attention. Hurry up! I reflect on how impertinent I've been, and swear loyalty to my big sister Mion, for the rest of my life. So, Mion burst out of laughter, echoed throughout the big cave, growing into a terrifying level. That was not the laugh of someone who is alive in this world. It was none other than the laugh of a demon from the bowels of the earth. She laughed from her stomach until she grew tired of it, and stopped smiling suddenly, as if snipping a wire. Alright already. Oh, that was funny enough for me. I didn't think you'd throw away that much of your pride. That was plenty enjoyable. Mion began to drag me again. After I finally got the feeling in my body back, she pulled me towards the torture chamber. Sis! Only kill me! Please forgive him! Oh, don't worry, alright? I'll be sure to kill you real good. After letting you get an earful of Kei-chan's screams, that is. No! After dragging me to the torture chamber, she skillfully strapped me into the restraining table. Before I knew it, I was sprawled out and bound. She forced open my hands, with each I couldn't even make a satisfying fist, and tightly restrained each one of my fingers. She fastened only my hands, and my fingers at that, tightly with hinges that locked them in place. Sis! Don't kill him! Sis! The door to the big cave with the jails had been left open so I could hear Shion's cries of mortification the entire time. Can you hear it, Shion? I'm going to get started now! Please enjoy Kei-chan's young screams! Give it a fucking rest! The feeling in my body returned, and the first action I took was to tell off that thing that looked like Mion. Oh, awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shion the most miserable death of all. But locking her up was because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie. Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside it, she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that, she began to line up what looked like long, strangely shaped nails, whose ends had been turned into hooks, like the kind you'd see on a harpoon. I let her hear the screams of all those people that died because of her, and after they've soaked into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've got pretty good taste, huh? That laugh wasn't even hers. Oh, I'm having fun. Oh, I like her. Oh, I love her. Oh, I love her. Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion. Mion Sonozaki. Has the fear driven you crazy? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion Sonozaki. She snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, who am I? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back! Kei-chan, your brain really is doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear, are you? Don't touch me! You damn demon! Give her back! Give me her back! My best friend, give me her back! Mion stood there for a few moments, with her jaw hanging open, not having expected me to say that. I myself knew that I was going to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion's return when she was right in front of me, but this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way I could accept that. So this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon and was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. Mion was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It all had to be the doing of this demon possessing her. Really? When Mion heard that, she started to goof off laughing so hysterically that she started to cough and almost choked. You really are a piece of work, you know that? This very moment, Mion Sonozaki is trying to kill you. And you're trying to reject me? I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world. If you want to laugh, then do it all you want. No matter what you say, though, I won't accept that you're Mion. Give her back! Away with you, demon! Kei-chan, are you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears? No matter what, I won't lose that laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart, so that the real Mion trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me wouldn't be able to hear. You can do it, Mion! Don't lose to this piece of shit demon! You're strong! Show me how strong you are! The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her face were busy with the restraints, so she couldn't even wipe them. She let them flow. Please, Mion! Mion! Where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose! Fight! Fight, goddammit! Mion was desperately enduring her laughter. Pressed one of the long nails to the tip of my left pinky. In her left hand was the hammer. At her side were dozens more nails. I could tell what she was about to do, though I wish I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted. Oh, my sides are like you're about to split. Is that all? I'm gonna get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing you, Kei-chan, but I'm torturing Shion as well. Why? Why would you? Mion! Then I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't an acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining, little by little. By the time I'd realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion. Kei-chan, this may not be something pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem you want to know, though, so I'll tell you just one thing. I didn't know if this was Mion, or just the display of momentary humanity that the demon had recovered. A long time before the demon came to live inside me. It was gnawing at my heart, trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my own reason. That settled the demon down, and I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me. It had just gone to sleep. I noticed that there were tears forming in her eyes. The demon woke up again due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? There was a sad yet reproachable light in Mion's eyes. Do you understand? I don't. I don't know. What gave the demon a chance to beat Mion? This might be strange for me, a demon to say, but you're the reason that everything got so messed up. The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downwards all of a sudden. At the time, if you gave me that doll you got without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted. The doll I got? The doll I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that Sunday. You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But, you see, All sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one, since it was so small. But you're the one who set it up. That can't... me? If you hadn't had made Mion cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough? For you to die in peace? A mistake that I had made on that day was what messed everything up. That can't be, can it? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the case, or the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me that doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened. I wanted to say, like I had just remembered something, that I recalled that day. But then they had told me about that, and I thought I had apologized. I didn't apologize to Mion, though. It'd have been Shion. In other words... oh god. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. Today I came to this house saying I had something to apologize for. But I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologized for going to the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize that just until now? Linda told me at that time. Now she herself, no, the demon was telling me. Is the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured, to die altogether? I could no longer hold back the hot tears from pouring out of me. I simply just cried, and reflected indifferently, on the taste of my tears, on the taste of regret. Can I start now, then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint of the end of the left pinky finger. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. Then I'll go back to your pinky nail and start the joint in the middle. So on and so on, until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. When that's over, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you could imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so... Mion pressed the tip of a nail into my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, and all the joints on my finger were strapped in so tightly it hurt. I couldn't even twitch. I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now? If this will satisfy your demon, Mion. If this will sate the demon, that then do to me what you will. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Or compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. She was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Shion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? You, after all this, you can still worry about Shion more than yourself? The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know, are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? The third is to leave me alive. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more. Aw, that's a shame. In such an abnormal situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together, as if sharing a stupid joke. I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. I guess there's nothing I can do then. I recalled tightening my hands into fists when enduring the pain at the dentist office. Right now, though, they were opened all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Okay, do it. I've prepared myself already. So do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek. Kei-chan, I'll agree just to the third thing, okay? Huh? My third wish. To save me. She'll agree to it? Your first wish. To save Shion. That's long done for. The demon will kill her. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So give up on that. Her delicate fingers slid from my cheek to my chin. As for your second wish, to give this body back to Mion. That won't happen either. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it'll just be a body. Because the Oni has taken it over. That isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things. Don't say such sad things like that. She won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound. Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. Slam. Slam. It was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people were ramming in the iron bars to this underground ritual storehouse. You're late, so then I probably called Oishi. That spaced out girl being so quick thinking was the one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned as she'd been outwitted, Mion grinned like she'd been outwitted, then took something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise. You've probably never seen one of these before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's legal, and its output has been increased quite a bit. Oh, was that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children should be playing with, you know? You're right. She seemed to want to use the stun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press a cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam. I heard a roar as though they'd broken down the first large door. Their halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way. I won't kill you, but I will have you go to sleep for a bit, Kei-chan. Or she will be here soon. This will only hurt a bit. Feeling the same shock as before. Gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did when she was about to hammer the nails in, she hesitated a little. I cracked open my tightly closed eyelids. I'm sorry for disgracing Mion. I made a promise before coming here. Whatever happens, the Mion inside my heart won't change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't come near me. By then it'll be the demon that inherited my corpse. What are you talking about? Just as I tried to say that much, a stronger light than before shined, like a television being switched off, My consciousness went black. Alright. June 1983. A string of disappearances occurred in the Hinamizawa village, Shisabona City Prefecture. The suspect is Mion Sonozaki, blank years old. Is suspected to have kidnapped 5 Hinamizawa residents between June 19th and June 21st. Audio Sonozaki Kiichiro. Fuck. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed at the time due to insufficient evidence. Fuck. That went by too fast. Oh. And it was resolved coincidentally and shockingly. On the morning of the 23rd, a vehicle patrolling the Sonozaki property heard screams from inside and rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister, Shion Sonozaki, and her 2 missing classmates, Keiichi and Rena Rugu. The suspect fled the scene. Deep in the detached basement of the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those who disappeared, were discovered hair, flaked skin, blood, etc. on the floor of missing persons. We concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber. However, their remains weren't found. At one of her imprisoned classmates' advice. Hold on. Fucking hell. I need to. Go slower. We had continued searching. Fuck! In addition, investigations are continuing as to her participation in the serial freak incidents of recent years, but thinking it would give some clue, but no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incidents, and as those Sonozaki family and the residents of Hinamizawa have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect... The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region is that... may have been a lynching, an internal punishment, sacrilegious acts carried out. It is clear that the incidents are particularly rooted in the region. Fuck! Y'all can just pause and read. They anticipated gaining valuable clues from the missing persons believed to have been imprisoned for the longest time, Shion Sonozaki, the suspect's younger sister. But her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incidents, and she was not been in a state of mind to properly answer any questions that she knows. The psychiatrist concluded that she is in a temporary state of shock. Fuck! Only a few days passed since that time. God damn! I even slowed it down and it didn't work! Ugh! After that, I was rescued by Oishi-san and his subordinates, whom Rena had called in. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. Okay, hold on. I need to bite a pizza real fast. Holy fuck. Fucking hell, that got intense. Alright. Oh, what time is it? Oh shit, it's 12. Alright. I don't know how close we are to the end. Hold on, let me check something. Nope, not that. There. Still only about like 80%, 86% of the way through. So, I'm gonna probably go ahead and end it here for today. Yeah. Fuck. Hopefully I didn't blow out all y'all's ears with all that screaming. How are y'all holding up? Y'all doing okay? Oh. But yeah. Alright, what I may do is, yeah, I could do that. So tonight's stream will probably be Higurashi as well. And, if we finish this game, if we finish this one in next stream, then, I'll probably go ahead and just be like, fuck it, and start a, new, try again with some hardcore Minecraft. But, and then, like, start the next game after that. But yeah. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all had a good time. And yeah. So let's see.